Well, I want to first of all thank you for the kind invite, and also to say how glad I am because we're here because of tourism. We're in a setting that is finally allowed with the protocols that we have hashed out with the help of our experts, our doctors. The pandemic has been particularly taxing on the industry. So this is an excellent setting and very optimistic as a message that we're finally able to meet again.
Can I also say what a wonderful resort this is?
Yes.
So from the Economist is delighted to be holding the event here at Lagonisi. They do a great job, and it's of course the most beautiful setting.
Now, perhaps I should switch to Greek. I don't know if.
Of course. No, we all have translation.
At least for the benefit of the journalists, etc., of people being here.
I'd like to share with you a couple of thoughts. I'd like to share with you a couple of thoughts with respect to our government's strategy in opening up the economy, why we are here right now, and a few words about the future. The first thing I'd like to point out is that, of course, the pandemic has severely hit tourism as a whole, and of course Greek tourism more specifically. And this forced all governments to think of new ways in order to return to normality, and to support organizations and businesses in order to withstand this difficult situation. You know the facts, the figures already for the previous year. There was a drop of 75%, significantly big decrease and drop because our country, for Greece, traveling, especially by air, has been mostly hit because of the pandemic, and the main way for people to enter Greece has been through, used to be through by the air. Our strategy was based on three pillars at the beginning. A, we will take actions very, very early so that we won't have to change the mechanism, and as a result decrease the uncertainty. So we, based on the last year's opening up process we had, WTTC, the World Travel and Tourism Council, awarded us for this method we had last year. The WTTC is the largest organization in the industry, and they awarded us as the best system, the best method globally for handling the opening up of tourism in times of pandemic. As a result, we were able to add vaccination, rapid tests, these tools which we didn't have last year. The second pillar in this year's strategy had to do with the clarity of our message. We did what we had to do early enough, and we had to emit a very clear message on how we will open up and by means of what processes. We started on March 9th during the Berlin CTB, the largest tourism exhibition in Europe, most likely globally. And we told them that May 14th we start, and we did it. We fulfilled this promise, because when building relations of trust, when allowing the market to do what they have to do, their agreements, their adjustments, their deals of the various stakeholders, so that the market may function properly, is very important. The third pillar was the pillar of international initiatives. May 12th, our Prime Minister, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, sent a letter to Ursula von der Leyen asking for the adoption of the digital green certificate for traveling, which would be the basis of international mobility and thus tourism. At the beginning, this was a bit difficult to adapt. However, we saw that to a great extent, the logic, the rationale behind it has been fostered by others, and we set out. So I don't want to spend more of your time. I hope we'll have time for Q&A. Let me close by saying that currently we find ourselves at a very optimistic moment. Most flights from the US are on. We have an increase of incoming flights and the incoming traffic in general. June had meant significantly more visitors compared to last year's June. Last year, here you see that the increase of arrivals from last year is quite higher. So we see that we are on track for a strong recovery, but this is a dynamic situation. Today we have positive developments in the UK because people coming from the UK may return back with no quarantine. This includes our country and some other destinations. But the message, since the beginning, our message has been clear. We open up by not being lax, but we open up because we are not lax, because we continue with our vaccination project, we keep distances, we keep our protocols. This is why we give you the message that we're a safe destination, and as a result, reduce the risks of this mobility. We will continue on this difficult path of responsibility and optimism at the same time.
Thank you very much. Can I ask, you gave the figure for last year, 75% drop, very dramatic. Do you have a forecast for this year of what you expect the increase over last year will be? Presumably you're not going to get back fully that 75%, but where will you get to?
Είναι πολύ δύσκολο να κάνει κανένας.
It's rather hard to make predictions and estimates that will be credible. From the beginning, I have said, even though people did not believe that this year will be much better than the previous one. But this is now a commonplace. I will give you an example in order to understand. I was talking earlier with a big hotel in Kos. It has 1,000 room. They don't have not even 50 left empty for the next period. After the 10th of August, they don't have any picture about booking. It's almost empty. So this year we have a late booking and ultra late booking year. We might see in the next 2 or 3 weeks what will happen, but no longer than that. And we have the Delta variant. We will change the situation a bit. We need to focus on that. So it's difficult to give you exact figures. And I don't want to place emphasis on figures because I believe that by enhancing the brand of our country is because we don't talk with figures but with safety mottos. So I don't want to talk about figures, but I want to persuade you that if you come to Greece, you will be safe. I want all of us to give the message of quality than quantity.
One more question before moving on to you alluded to the change today in the United Kingdom. Obviously, I welcome it. It means, for those of you who don't know, that
You have to stay a few days.
from the 19th of July.
No, stay on for a couple of weeks.
Yes, from the 19th of July, if you go back to London or to England, you no longer have to take minimum of 2 tests when you arrive, 3 if you want early release. You need to take only 1 test and you don't have to quarantine. So very simply put, if you were a family thinking of a holiday in Greece, until now this was more or less prohibitive. You faced a very big bill and you face a long period of quarantine for which many people makes it impossible. So now suddenly this is possible, but it illustrates how dependent you are on other people's decision. There's nothing you can do about this decision. This is a decision of the UK government. So what do you do to manage this risk? Have you been busily diversifying your marketing of Greece to other countries to make up for one or other countries that may suffer or may impose restrictions?
I'll reply in English so that you
Yes.
don't. I think, of course, you need to diversify. You need to spread as much as you can. But at the same time, there's a marketing maxim that in times of crisis, stick to knitting. So you stick to the markets that know you. You cannot develop suddenly during the crisis new markets. Go suddenly to Africa and try to market yourself. So this is not something that you can do. But what you can do is try to mitigate the risks by going to all the markets. That's why we've been going through a world tour, if you like, in the past 2-3 months, visiting all the different countries that the markets are important, advocating for our system, how it is complete, professional, mature, and how it will keep their citizens safe, talking to my counterparts, but also talking to the market, explaining, showing them how it works, the kind of requirements that are there, because there are requirements, explaining that we will never forgo those requirements because we care about people's health. But also, we perhaps put the sperm, the germ of those decisions today. Because when I was in London, I talked to my counterparts and I said, it doesn't make sense for you to quarantine the people that have vaccinated. It dilutes your message, because you're telling them, please go get vaccinated to go back to normality, and at the same time, you're not allowing them to go back to normality. So it's counterproductive for your vaccination program to do that. And also, at the same time, of course, we try to create the channels and the data sharing that will make them feel comfortable in order to make those decisions. So that's what we have to do. And at the same time, as I said before, it's a dynamic situation. We have to exercise those channels, talk to them again and again and again, and provide all the details so that they can make their own informed decisions as they are sober.
So if you had any influence, or whatever level of influence on this decision, I have to thank you, because I think it was a much delayed and very necessary.